Hi, I'm Heeva. I'm an industrial design student from Central St Martin's in London, and I'm extremely passionate about textiles innovation. I'm extremely passionate about community-based co-creation, and I really like new inventions. So the reasons that I started working with 3D weaving when I came across this Jamdani project was that I wanted to create new and novel ways that artisans can create work. I think when you start playing with a 3D element of weaving and allow that shape and structure to take place, the levels of imagination and the passion that it might ignite into the creator of the product, as well as the person who buys into it or views it as a piece of art or as a piece of design, is endless. You know, we are able to play in so many more realms, and the artisans are able to play in so many more realms that they haven't previously been able to. And so what the functionality that comes out of that is a sense of creativity and autonomy that hasn't or may have been lost over time. When I think about design and when I think about the type of design language I want to have, I always think of it from a human-centric perspective, where we should look at the most valuable thing in the supply chain. So it is the skill sets of those people and how we can kind of reverse engineer a process based on the skill set. I think that when we work with people, we need to understand what they're good at and what they enjoy in order to get the best outcome. And so innovation should fit nicely into that, where it's like, let's innovate from a place of growth rather than scrapping the whole process and restarting again. I think there's a value when it comes to a skill that you already know and growing onto that, because you will be automatically a lot more informed in how to create this type of work and how to operate with these types of machines. I think artistically, I am quite adventurous and experimental, but I'm also very process based. So I'm happy to take the process in many different directions and experiment in loads of different techniques, but ultimately it needs to be new, it needs to be exciting. When I was thinking about how to design this technique, one of the things that I realised was that I need to also talk about how this technique will work and actually show that in a way that's in a 3D form and is easily understood by audiences. So what I began to do was to design a tapestry loom that will mimic what is happening within the machine. With this loom, I worked with Numan Bai to be able to produce a pattern that would show us the techniques that would be available if this was put onto a loom. My next steps of innovation will include me 3D printing a loom and constructing that loom in order to start adapting the machine to allow for this extra warp that is the Z-axis. Once I've adapted this loom, I should be able to take this technology and take this technique to the pit looms of the Jamdani weavers and allow them to do the same as I have done in London. So some of the themes that I wanted to explore in this project were about decentralized manufacturing, which allows people to be able to create products when the designer and the artisan aren't in the same room. You know, there's a lot of carbon footprint that goes into design work, that goes into craft work, and those production cycles could be shortened when we think about new ways of creating work. A big theme of this project was all about communication skills through images. So a lot of this technique can be taught through visual images, and language barriers should not be a gateway to education of craft. So a lot of my project has been about process images. How do I go from this one object into creating this other object in a way that feels easy and understandable by people that know how to work with these items? Craft and innovation often live in two different realms, where we see craft as a very old technique and we see innovation in a place which is shiny and new. But in order to marry those ideas together to get the best outcomes for our artisans, I think we need to think about what type of craft innovation is needed and what type of craft innovation creates autonomy with craft. I like my artisans to be proud of their work. I want them to be able to look at their work and feel a sense of achievement that they haven't been able to feel when the industry is dying.